G'day legends and welcome to another Sammy Hitzke fishing adventure. Now I don't know if I've ever started one of my episodes in the car like this, but look, it's the first time for everything. Now I've said it a few times before already, but this is a very special episode. Now to start it off, let me just cast your minds back to March last year. I got a 30 kilo Spanish. Now I took that to a taxidermist to get it molded and mounted. So fiberglass mold, then hand painted. So it's a replica, it's not a skin mount. But I got the call yesterday that it's done. Almost a year later, well it is a year later, my mackerel is done and ready to be picked up. So I haven't seen any photos, haven't seen anything for the whole year. This is going to be the first time I lay eyes on it, so I thought I'd bring you guys along for the journey. I've had heaps and heaps of people message me out of the blue saying, hey, when are you getting that mackerel back? Well, today is the day. So I'm going to be taking it home and chucking it up on the fish wall. Now I thought while I'm at it, I get a lot of questions about the fish on the wall there, so I thought I might go through and spend this episode going through all the fish and why I decided to get them mounted. There's a few crackers and some really good stories in there, so I hope I don't want to say anything. I'm nervous, excited. I can't wait to see this thing. I hope it's as big as I remember, because I remember it being a massive mackerel. So, you know, you haven't seen it in a year. I just can't wait to see it. So, I'm just about to head down to Glenn's place now and pick it up. Oh, it's going to be awesome. We are here. Oh, the man himself was just there. He's painting a few barra up by the looks of it. So it's going to be cool just to check these out. Man, the myth, the legend, Glenn, how are you? Camera's rolling, don't swear. Can't shake your hand either. Yeah, we got thumbs up these days. What is the world coming to? A few little salty barra.
Trophy.
Trophies. So this is what Glenn does. These are all destined to be trophies. Do you know which tournament for or competition?
Ingham World Cup.
Nice. So if you're up in Ingham and you're a good barra fisherman, you might win yourself one of these.
I don't think it's happening this year.
It might not be happening this year. Righto, I'm not going to look, I'm going to do a big turnaround. Righto guys. Oh, Struth. Oh, Struth. That looks insane. Have a go at that. It is as big as I remember.
Hey?
I reckon. I was wondering, I was like, oh, I hope it's as big as I remember. You've done a fantastic job, mate. I can't shake your hand. That's got to be one of your finer bits of work, hasn't it?
Oh,
It's
up there.
Put it on the resume for sure.
Every time I look at it, I see something different, like the tail.
Oh, here's a close-up, guys.
I don't know how I do it sometimes.
Don't know how you do it. Look at the head, look at the teeth on the beast.
Had a few gaps, but that's how it was.
Yeah, oh, well, that's what happens when you run a steel trace through his mouth. Do you want to grab it and we'll take it out in the sun? Get some, oh, I can see the blues popping.
Bit of green.
Oh! Oh, look at it. Oh, it looks even better. Have a go at that. Look at the blue and the green on the top there. I don't know how you actually do that. That is insane.
Oh, you just play away.
Oh,
In the sun?
in the sun. Look at that. Look at the colours pop. I hope the camera does it justice. Oh, you can see it too. That's so cool.
No, I'm pretty happy with it though.
So am I.
Hey?
That's out of control. Oh, and that's why you wait a year for this sort of stuff, because you can't rush quality. That is exceptional. Once in a lifetime Spanish, well hopefully not. And I can't wait to get it home and he can join his mates on the wall. Oh, I'm so stoked. That's awesome. We're just having a bit of a look around Glenn's workshop. That kingy there is 54, isn't it? 52 kilo kingfish. White Island in New Zealand, and he's got some trout. These are super old ones. And then check out all the molds. These are all the fish he's done. And he's got a whole shipping container out the back there that's full of it as well. Unreal. So much work in this little shed. And one I've got my eye on is that one there, a 92 centimetre Tailor. How good is that? Now I need to go catch one. I'm jealous. Red Emperor, Over here, got largemouth nanny. All sorts coming up. Bonefish. And these are all just waiting to go out. It's a very cool way to remember a special fish. Like I've said to a lot of people ask why I get them mounted, and it's, you don't only, like, if you eat it, yeah, you remember it and you enjoy it, but something like that mackerel in the background, that's something you're going to have for a lifetime. Every time you walk past your living room, you're going to remember that memory and remember that exact feeling you had when you first saw that fish. And it's just one of those things. It's like, I don't like to refer to them as trophies, but more just a permanent memory. And it's something that I hope to pass down to my kids as well. Like these things, I've got some of the fish that you'll see later in the video. They've been on my wall for over 10 years now, and I still smile every time I look at them. I remember the exact time I caught that fish or speared that fish when I used to be spearing. So I don't like calling them trophies. They're memories. They're permanent memories that never fade, and I reckon it's a great way to honour the fish and the memory and the time that you had catching it. And this is the fun part, getting it in the car and getting it home nice and safe. I've got a bit of room here.
Yeah, but well, probably pull the doona forward a bit more. So the one on the other side will be is pretty strong.
That one?
No, the pick on the other side. So you just watch them. That's about all.
Righto. It's in. Now I've got to pack around it. How good? It's coming home. Well guys, we survived the drive and here it is. Big Mack, well the Mackalicious is at its new home and I'm about to chuck it up on the wall. I used to think the Marlin behind me was my pride and joy, but I think the mackerel has definitely taken the cake. It is absolutely exceptional. Every time I look at it, there's a different colour popping somewhere. It's just absolutely amazing, so realistic. I don't know how he does it. It's a true art form. I know this is something I could never do. I'm not blessed in the art department, that's for sure. But yeah, I could not be happier. Now, I did say at the start I wanted to talk about the story behind each of my mounts here, and including this one. Because I think the story is a very important part of having a fish up on the wall. Each one is different and has its own little cool story behind it. And I thought that'd be a cool thing to share with you guys. Obviously I use this fish wall in a lot of my videos. It's the background for most of my intros and outros and all that sort of stuff. So I thought it'd be cool to share with you guys and show some photos and footage of where all these fish came from and how I came to catch them. With this mackerel, as you're about to see in the footage, I was out with Shauno and we decided a couple of days prior that we wanted to troll for mackerel. We'd heard reports they were on, we wanted to troll for them. And we decided we're going to troll some baits. I had some bonito in the freezer. It's like, yeah, we'll go down, we'll troll some baits. Now I used to do a lot of mackerel trolling with baits, but I reckon before that session, I wouldn't have done it for like 2 or 3 years. It's just something I'd done heaps in the past and just never got around to doing again. So we got out there bright and early down the coast. First bait in the water, second bait in the water. I had 2 bonito on, I'm pretty sure. And sure enough, we reckon we would have gone for about 15 minutes and this rod just keeled over and started screaming.
There we go,
and
there we go.
Like proper screaming. It had a searing first run. It was massive. Now the thing is, I hadn't caught a mackerel on a bait in so long that I kind of forgotten what they do. So the whole fight I'm going, this mackerel's running pretty hard. I'm going, yeah, it's a good fish, it's a good fish.
He's a good fish.
And I just expected it to be a normal other mackerel. You know, you've always got in the back of your head, Spanish mackerel go pretty hard. I've caught them on poppers, they always go hard. Yeah, this one was going hard and that's what they do. They go hard and fast. And we got this thing and we saw a bit of colour and we're like, oh, it is, it's a cracker, it's a real nice mackerel. And as it was circling below and getting higher and higher, this thing just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And we're still looking at the thing going, geez, it's a really good mackerel, that's huge. And, you know, expecting it to be like a high teens fish, maybe like 15, 16 kilos, 17 kilos. And it just kept on getting bigger. And it came past and Shauno sunk the gaff in it. And as he hit it with the gaff, the head came out of the water. I think that's the moment we both realised just how big this fish was. And then Shauno tried to lift it over the gunnels in one go and it didn't go. We're like, oh, this is massive. It just kept on going. As it came over the gunnels, this fish just didn't stop. It was by far the biggest mackerel I've seen in person. And we pulled it in and we're looking at this thing on the deck just going, that is huge. Tried to grab it up for a photo, struggling to lift it. And that's when we made the call, like, yeah, that's got to be close to 30. And we got a weight on it about 6 or 7 hours later at the co-op, so certified, pretty well certified scales. It was 29.6, but because we kept it whole and intact like this, it was sitting on the deck for about probably 6 hours. Well, from when we caught it to when we got it weighed, it was sitting on the deck. So we talked to the guys at co-op, and they reckon they lose quite a bit of weight in water weight just by sitting on the deck. So they said fresh it would have been 30 to 31 kilos. So I'm happy to call it 30, and yeah, turned out to be an absolute corker. And he's going to take pride of place on his spot on the wall. And I'll chuck it up now. I've got a perfect spot for it. Check this out. What do you reckon about that? I reckon that looks pretty darn good. Big Mac, I'm happy to have him home. Righto, this guy here, Mangrove Jack, was actually my first mount. Now, as much as I'd like to say I caught it on a lure or a livey, I actually caught it while I was spearfishing, or shot it while I was spearfishing. For those of you who don't know, I used to be a mad keen spearo back in the day. One of the prize fish to shoot is Mangrove Jack. Now, Mangrove Jack, ever since I was a young fella, I was fisho pretty well all my life, and had a little section there for about 3 or 4 years where I turned into a mad spearo. But all my life I've wanted to chase Mangrove Jack, and I'd only caught one on a lure when I saw this guy underwater. And I saw him sitting on a log at Amity Point in Stradbroke Island. Oh, excuse me. Sitting under a log. I went down and I crawled along the bottom, and he still hadn't seen me, and I managed to shoot him square through the old noggin, and it was called a stone shot, so I killed it instantly. Now, it's definitely by no means the biggest jack you'll ever see underwater. They get probably triple this size. But for me, ticking off my first good sized jack, whether it be diving or lures, was a massive achievement. And this is the guy that started off my fish mount addiction. I got this guy back, and I just couldn't believe how cool it was, as you'll see in the close-ups. Excuse me. Each of the scales are painted. There's just so much detail and so realistic that I fell in love with this guy. He took pride of place in my room in the share house, and yeah, from then on I thought, geez, Glenn does such a good job, I'm gonna have to get some more. But he was, I think it's just shy of 60 centimeters, this one, but at the time, absolute PB, couldn't be happier. I've now upgraded my on a rod and reel. My PB is now 82 centimeters. I caught that in WA. Absolute beast of a fish. I'll see if I can dig up a photo to show you guys. I know that weren't the best photos, but yeah, there you have it, Mangrove Jack. He's my first. Still proud to have him up there. Rightio. Now this guy here, I would expect many of you lionfishers would never have seen before in your life. I don't know anyone that's caught one of these on a line, and I'd love to say I'd caught it on a line, but I didn't. This guy was one of my spearing achievements as well. This is a large eye sea bream. This one I shot off Cape Morton, and it's quite a large one. These guys are notoriously hard to chase while you're spearing. They will literally spot you from a mile away, and you can never close the distance. You just sit there, you move closer, they move further away. They are notoriously hard. Apparently really, really good eating. I've never tried one. The only one I've shot is this guy here, just so happened to be a nice big one. But this guy, I spotted, I reckon, probably 4 or 5 times before I actually got a shot at him. I'd spot him, try and creep into a position and get a shot at him, but every time I'd pop my head up or something, he'd see me and just move away. It took me ages and ages. I was trying to work out different routes in, because he just kept on going back to the same area, but I just couldn't get close enough for a shot. What eventually happened is I dove almost probably 10 meters away from him. I dove down, crawled along the bottom, got to this big rock, and just snuck my gun over and just put my head up just enough to see where he was, and he was still sitting there. I made the shot, got him, and that's him there. They are one of the coolest fish you'd see. There, when you see them underwater, they are that colourful. They've got all this blue and pinky red through their fins there. They've got the little sickles coming off the fins down the bottom there, and they've got these crazy buck-like teeth, almost like a tusk fish, or I guess like a snapper as well. I dare say they'd be very closely related to the snapper and your yellowfin bream, that sort of stuff. but they are just a very unique fish and very cool to see underwater. Very hard to shoot, but I managed to get one. And that guy there, he's another work of art. If you have caught one or know of someone who's caught one, let me know, because I obviously do a fair bit in the fishing circles. Never heard of one being caught, never caught one myself on a line. Not sure why, maybe they are a herbivore or something of that nature, but yeah, maybe they're just too smart. But I got one. You. Now this guy here, you should have no problems IDing at all. It is a yellowfin brim and an absolute snodger of one. 4.4 pounds, and I'd love to say I caught it, but I did not. My old man did. It's his PB brim. Now anyone who knows my old man, the Phantom, he's what you'd call a brim specialist. Not so much the soft plastics and lures, but back in the old school ways of long surf rods, long light surf rods, tiny sinkers, yabbies, all that fun stuff. He is an absolute master on the brim. Still his favourite species. No matter what I take him fishing for, he still reckons brim are his favourite. You can imagine fishing a brim comp. A kilo brim is a monster in the yellowfin world. So you get one of these in a comp, you pretty well only need one more fish and you're going to be coming out on top with a winning bag, let alone 3 others. But I can't actually remember the specifics of the story. He's told me a heap of times, but for the life of me, I can't remember. Actually, yeah, I know he's out fishing, but he might answer his phone. Let's give him a call. He can tell it firsthand. It can be the dial-in podcast. He might not even answer. Let's give it a whirl.
Hello.
Phantom. You there?
Yeah.
You there?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Don't swear, we're recording. You're on, well, your voice is on camera. I'm on camera, your voice is. And I've got your 4.4 pound PB brim here in my hands. Can you tell us the story real quick?
Oh, I can. Yeah. That was a lovely afternoon. There was a Yamba Iluka fishing competition on, and the guys in the caravan park took me into going for a fish. So I pumped some yabbies and went down to Shark Bay Rocks and was just tossing around there hoping to catch a big brim, would you believe? And this thing took off and just took off and took off. Triple O sinker and just letting it wash around.
I told you like to fish light.
And I thought, oh, it's a flathead. And I thought, no, it's a snapper. Anyway, as it got close, it was just the hugest brim that I had seen. Anyway, lucky enough to get it in and put it in, and it ended up winning the biggest brim and brim of the month. And no, it was a hooter. Enjoyed it.
How much did you win the biggest brim by? It would have been like a kilo.
Oh, gee, I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest. It was 40 odd years ago. No, I can't remember. It won easily. Anyway, it was a bit of a horse. Anyway, I thought that was a bit of an unusual capture, so I sort of committed that to the freezer, and it's been in the freezer for quite some years to settle arguments about a 4.4 pound brim.
There you go.
So I've done that job.
Could you imagine if you got beaten? You catch a brim of a lifetime and someone beats you?
Well, I remember looking up the Australian record and it was something like 8 pound.
Oh.
I went, oh my god.
Oh. There you go. Well, there you go. Thanks, Tez.
No worries, mate. It's a memorable capture, and yeah, still got the family record for brim walleye, you know.
Look, I think it'll take some beating. I don't think I'll be, unless I get it on a Jew bait or something like that, I don't think I'll be knocking it over anytime soon. Righto.
Right.
Cheers, Tez.
Okay. Cheers.
Bye. Well, there you go, guys. Straight from the horse's mouth. Comp winning 4.4 pound brim. Righto, from brim we take a hard right turn, a big change of scenery to blue water and the marlin that's behind me. I'm not going to hold it here for you, it's too big, it's too fragile, and I can't drink a beer while I'm doing it. But the story behind this marlin, so this is actually one of Glenn's moulds. So he's moulded this for another person, and he's done this mould and painted it up for me. So it's not actually a fish that I've caught, this is one of his moulds. Now this is a 54 kilo marlin. Now the reason I chose to get a mould done instead of actually taking a marlin, because I didn't want to take a marlin to him, a big marlin, like a 50 kilo marlin to him, and then it gets moulded, and unfortunately you can't eat them after they've been moulded. So I didn't want to kill a marlin and not eat it. I prefer to release most of my marlins, so I thought to myself, I've caught them bigger, I've caught them smaller. I reckon I probably caught maybe 40 or 50 marlin in my life. So personally I had no issue saying, hey, can you do me up one of the moulds? and it turned out so cool. You'll be able to see all that blue, electric blue through it, and the little bronzing. It is exactly what you see when that marlin comes up broadside of the boat and you're just about to grab its bill. They're lit up, they're a bit bronze, and it could not be more realistic. Now, sitting pride of place above my marlin is this absolute weapon of a brown trout. Now, this guy, I've caught a few trout actually, never caught a big one, only caught little ones on little Tassie Devils and Celtas and that sort of stuff. Caught a couple in a private dam on a pellet, so that doesn't count either. But this guy here, now this guy represents 4 days of some of the toughest fishing I've ever done. I was fishing with a good mate of mine, Colby Lesko. Shout out to Colby. He's also got a YouTube channel if you're keen on watching some southern stuff. And we're down in Warrnambool, and I was down there on a BCF trip with the goal of catching some trout. Now, they have some awesome trout fishing down there, and it was a full-on case of should have been here last week. And we fished so hard. We walked pretty well the entire stretches of some of these rivers casting for trout, and we couldn't find one for the life of us. We ended up chasing some estuary perch and some black bream just to break the monotony of catching nothing. But just on a whim, Colby's like, oh, I reckon we should go to Lake Purrumbete. There's some monster trout in there, and they've been getting them on little Daiwa double clutches. So we headed up to Lake Purrumbete, and what we were looking for, you go there in the arvo and you look for trout. They're doing what they call smelting. It's pretty well just a bust up. These big browns get up in the shallows and they hit these little smelt or these little bait fish and just come flying through the surface and smash them. So you kind of cruise around over the weed beds, you sight these fish, you see them break the surface on some bait, you fire in a cast and hope, cross all your fingers and toes that it sees your lure and thinks it's tasty and has a crack at it. Well, we saw a couple of fish and no takers, and right on last light we saw one break the surface. I think all 3 of us cast at it, and I managed to come up tight, and this thing went bananas. It jumped. It played up at the boat. It did all the right stuff you'd expect from a trout. Pulled a lot of string on the light gear, and we got it up, and it was just, for the second it got in the net, relief, just massive amounts of relief and excitement. We tried so hard to catch a trout, to finally have one in the boat. It's pretty good feeling, but one of this size, well, you know, no one was expecting that. Now, the trophy weight for trout is 10 pounds. Anything over that is considered an absolute trophy. This thing went just over 9.5 pound. So just shy of the magic 10 pound mark, but it's one I don't think I'll beat anytime soon. Now, this guy here is the mighty Moses Perch. Now, I'm not sure why I end up getting this guy mounted. At least it's a big one. I think back in the day I had some big plans of having just a full wall of Luke Jarnans. So the Jack, Red Emperor, Moses, Finger Mark, all those cool things, Red Bass. I haven't got the urge to do that anymore unless I catch something that's super crazy. Now, I come across this guy fishing the rocks in WA at Quobba Station. I was over there for about 8 weeks. I spent 5 of those weeks at Quobba Station spinning the rocks with a crew of land-based dudes, chasing predominantly Spanish mackerel, longtails, and we were kind of fingers crossed we'd run into a sailfish or a big cobia while we're there. Now, in between spin sessions, I didn't mind doing a bit of reef fishing, and we were catching plenty of snapper, and we caught a big red bass while we were there, and big spangled emperor, and then I caught this guy. And at that stage of my life, I hadn't done much reef fishing, and I thought that was the biggest Moses perch I'd ever seen. Usually you see them in the estuaries and they're like 25 centimetres long, if that. And I pulled this guy up the rocks and I was like, oh my goodness. He's a cool little fish, awesome colours on him. They're really cool colours. But yeah, that's the mighty Moses. Not a crazy story, but he's still a big one, that's for sure. I know they get plenty of big ones chasing Red Emperor, so I don't think he's a record of any description, but still my PB to this day. Now, last but not least, guys, I've got this little legend here. Now, it looks like, to the untrained eye, it looks like a monster whiting, but it is in fact a bonefish. Now, for those who know anything about bonefish, would know that they're more so prevalent on your tropical islands, on reefy flats, all those sorts of things like Seychelles and Aitutaki and Hawaii and all those awesome dream places. Now, they are caught in WA pretty frequently. On the east coast, we don't see them very often, and what makes this fish so special is where I caught it. I caught this guy on Fraser Island, of all places. Now, not only do I catch it on Fraser Island, I caught it in a way that you would never, ever pick in a million years. So, bit of a backstory, my old man actually caught a bonefish on Fraser Island about 40 or 50 years ago while he was fishing for whiting. So ever since then, I'd gone, oh yeah, Tez the Phantom caught one, that's pretty cool. Wonder if they're still there. Now, I never really gave it much thought after that, just it was a cool story, he caught it on whiting gear and that was it. Then we were up there one trip and we had dinner, it was after dark, and I grabbed my shark rod, which is a 13-foot absolute broomstick of a surf rod. I'm a 20,000 Stella with 50-pound braid and 200-pound leader and a shark trace about yay long, probably a bit longer, short enough that I could cast it, but still nice and heavy and a big sinker. And I was using a 10-0 circle hook and strips of salted bonito. So salted bonito strips about that by about that. So just, probably not strips, slabs. Now I chucked that bait out, and usually on Fraser Island, if there's sharks around, you don't have to wait too long to get a little inquiry. And I reckon bait was in the water for about 5 minutes, and I started getting these bites. And it's just like, dunk, dunk. And I'm sitting there going, right, must be a tailor, because, you know, a bit of bonito out there, it's not uncommon to catch tailor, particularly at night. So I'm waiting for this tailor to actually eat the bait properly and load up. And sure enough, the rod tip dips. I hit this thing and it goes, zzz, takes some line really, really fast. I was like, oh, might be a good tailor. Anyway, it didn't offer too much more after that because obviously I'm using shark gear. This rod, I reckon I could do chin-ups off this rod. It's that strong. And I'm winding this thing in, it's still kicking away and having a bit of a dig, but didn't take any more line. I drag it up the beach. I'm going, I can see its silhouette, it's very shiny. I'm going, what is that? Turn my head torch on. It's like, you're kidding. Dead set. All the things you hear about bonefish, they're eating these tiny little shrimp imitations on crazy small hooks, like size 1 hook, size 2 hooks, super light tippets, everything finesse. And I managed to catch one on a 10-0 circle hook and a strip of bonito and wire. You are kidding. So probably one of the more fluky captures I've ever been a part of. Hooked perfectly in the jaw too. And yeah, I thought that is too good of a story. And he was a little banged up, so I thought you can come home and you can have pride of place on the wall as well. And that's how I came to have bonefish. I've since caught 2 other bonefish in Western Australia, walking the flats up north. One on a metal slug and one on a soft plastic. So very cool. It's not the biggest bonefish, but definitely a first for me in southeast Queensland. An even cooler story is in the exact same spot. About 2 years later, my old man got a second one fishing for dart on his Albion surf rod, and that thing played up like a second-hand lawnmower as well. But there you go. Southeast Queensland bonefish. How good. Well, there you have it, guys. There's all the stories and insights behind my fish wall. Now, I know the next question you'll probably ask is, what's next? I have a couple of, actually I've got a few bucket list species I'd like to put up there. The first one is a big tailor, so something over 4 kilos, or preferably over, I think 10 pound is the magic mark for tailor. So I think that's 4.5 kilos or something close to that. A big tailor. I want to get a big tailor. It'll be going up on the wall. Next up, I'd like a jewfish over 25 kilos. I think that'd be pretty cool and amazing to see on the wall. I'd love one over 30 kilos, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it's going to work, because anything over 25, I reckon, will qualify for the wall, but I'm only going to keep one. I don't keep many big jewfish anymore. They're too good of a sport fish to catch just once, so I release most of mine, as I encourage a lot of jew anglers to do. Obviously, there's times when you can't land them without a gaff, so that's how it goes. But if you can, release them, and there'll be more jew for everyone to catch later down the track. But first one I get over 25 kilos, it'll be going up on the wall. Excited about that. And then after that, a snapper over 90 centimeters. Now, I have caught a 91 with Guesty, and that fish was released, but I couldn't bring it home with me, so I have to get one locally, 90 centimeters plus. And I don't think it's too far away. I've had some high 80s, I've had some 86s, So I'm in the ballpark, just need a little bit bigger and I'll be there. Of course, there's always going to be the odd fish that you pull up and you're like, that is the coolest thing ever. Actually, I just remembered one. A ruby snapper or a big flame tail snapper. I think one of those would be absolutely insane. They're like a giant red goldfish. And I think on the wall, just a nice bit of colour. I think that'd look really cool. Now, I would share Glenn's contact details, but unfortunately, he has asked me not to. He is no longer taking any new orders. He's booked up for the next considerable amount of time, so he's asked that I not share his contact details. He does not want any more work. So unfortunately for you guys, that's just the way it goes. You've got to respect his wishes, but as you can see, he's an absolute master at what he does. So there's no wonder he's so busy. Guys, that's all we've got time for this week. If you did like or learn something, make sure you hit that like button and leave us a comment below. For anyone new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. There's plenty more fishing action to come, including next week. We'll be fishing once again. I won't spoil it just yet because I don't know. I don't know what we'll be doing next week, but we'll definitely be fishing. I can guarantee you that much. So if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. New fishing videos every single Sunday at 4 p.m. Guys, hope you're all safe. Hope you're all well. Hope you're getting out there and getting a few fish and getting a feed. Cheers, guys. Catch you next week. Cheers.